crush any minute. We saw him crush Bernie twice. And Christopher Hedges and others, my dear brother Chris, he would tell me, oh, Brother West, you out there doing 112 events for Bernie the first time, 120 the next time. I love you to death, but I don't think you ought to be doing that kind of work because you got other energy to be done. I said, well, at this moment, this might be the best way to educate people, get people exposed to new ways of looking at the world and so forth and so on. But more likely, he will get crushed because the neoliberals will come together. You get a phone call from Obama, Biden, Pete, Amy, boom, they all come together to crush it. Because in November, looked like we had it. I mean, with Nevada, it looked like we had a chance for a while. But even Bernie himself doesn't have a substantive critique of imperialism. No, not at all. He's got a critique of right-wing xenophobic leaders in Israel, Netanyahu. But that's a very, very low bar.
Yep.
If I can't criticize Netanyahu, then go and join Trump's party and just do it American style. And the Israeli left has no strong left either. And so the Palestinians find themselves subject to this vicious treatment of domination and occupation and subordination and subjugation. And you say, hey, this Palestinian baby got the same value as a Jewish baby or black baby or white baby, Brother James was talking about. Not one member of the Democratic Party can say one word when 550 Palestinian babies are killed in 50 days. They can't say one word. That's sick. If that happened to Jewish babies, there ought to be voices, my voice, your voice, all of our voices would be heard for Jewish babies. Rightly so, because we care about Jewish babies. But when it's Palestinian babies, and it's just a few voices like ourselves, and no Democrats can say a word, then we know that's sick. Spiritually, morally, that is sick.
Hello, my friends. Hello, my family. We are live, and you heard the man himself. That's Dr. Cornel West explaining how Bernie Sanders and Michael Prenti had the same critique as well. His weakness on imperialism. I apologize for the echo. Maybe I should have fixed the audio a little bit before I play that. I apologize for the echo. I see some people said there was an echo during that. I decided to play that clip last second because whenever I say stuff like this, the people who look up to Dr. Cornel West, they think he's brilliant. But whenever I say Bernie Sanders and the progressive left is weak on imperialism, they think I'm just some guy who's just trying to divide the left. Isn't that interesting? I think that's rooted in a bit in classism. And think about what Dr. Cornel West was talking about. He was calling the progressives out for their weakness on Palestine. Now, Nina Turner just ran. She lost a recent election. There are people pissed at me because apparently RBN didn't show her support. In fact, we criticized her. And you're goddamn right, I'm going to criticize someone who sold out the Palestinian people in order to win over a voting constituency that will never like you. In order to win over AIPAC, will still assassinate your character. And this is important right now because you had this killing of Shireen Abdul Akla, the prominent Palestinian journalist in Israel. And I have an update. And we're going to cover Israeli forces essentially rioting, attacking people, mourning the person that they killed. They was attacking people because they was holding the Palestinian flag. So according to the Israeli forces, the Palestinian flag, they made it illegal. So after seeing the Israeli forces double down on their violence, you goddamn right, I'm gonna call out Nina Turner and the progressives like Jamal Bowman, who is an Israel bootlicker. Who's that guy that everyone excited about? Everyone asks like, why you don't talk about Fetterman? Fetterman is a giant AIPAC bootlicker, and he even said that he's running so he can maintain close ties to Israel. He doesn't support BDS. Like that's a litmus test. Like a lot of people on the left forgot what being a left is about. What the hell? People are like, why the RBN always engaged in left infighting? What the hell is left infighting? What are you guys talking about? My litmus test for someone being on the left is very simple. It's actually a very low gate to jump over. You gotta be anti-capitalist. You gotta be anti-imperialist. Now, you don't have to be. If you're anti-capitalist, you don't have to be as far left as me. I want to accept people on my right, as long as you understand that capitalism needs to change as it is right now. I don't think that's unreasonable. I think, and you look at economic polls, most Americans are there. They're at least at the reform stage. But then when you look at the fight against the U.S. empire, the fight against U.S. Israel, Saudi Arabia, the new axis of evils, these are the largest human rights violators. And you are joining their side. You're running to join Congress, the most powerful Congress is the most evil institution in human history. I want you guys to realize that. So you are running to get power in the most evil, most violent, bloody institution in human history, and then you join the side of the oppressors, aka Bernie Sanders and the squad. They're sending 40 billion of our money to Ukraine, to NATO, to weapon defense contractors, to Nazis. So my question is, when you guys say left infighting, what are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? My bar is very, very low, and they don't even cross that bar of being anti-imperialist. You got AOC being called out by Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people. Rand Paul is making Bernie look like a chump because he's the only person in the Senate who had the balls to vote against this insane package. While we have formula shortages, we have food shortages, we got millions of people homeless. We got even more. We got a financial crash that is just getting started. But all the progressives sided with the U.S. empire to send your resources. Remember, guys, I'm a Marxist. I subscribe to Marxist theory. This is not theirs. This is our shit. They are sending our resources to Nazis in the Ukraine so they can continue their ethnic cleansing of Russians, because that is the goal of the Azov Battalion. Do you guys know? I'm showing you guys the receipt here later in the stream. House Democrats voted to, in 2019, there were 40 House Democrats that put this petition up so they can label the Azov Battalion a terrorist organization, because they are in. You are whitewashing them by calling them neo-Nazis. They are quite literally Nazis. They believe in one state, one nation, one people. That's why Zelensky and his Nazis banned the Russian language. They banned alternative media. We're sending our resources to them, including, I think it was like $4 billion in food aid, which is, once again, I'm a Marxist. I'm for feeding people, especially in crisis. But you guys are sending $4 billion to feed people in Ukraine while all people are starving? Like, how is this not an easy class analysis to make? Even if you have, like, I have sympathy for the Ukrainian people. That includes all of them. You want to know the funny part is? The people who say they have solidarity with the Ukrainians, they don't care about the Eastern Ukrainians. They don't care about the 1/3 of the country that speak ethnic Russian, that are ethnic Russian, that was being attacked and killed and shelled in mass by the Azov Battalion that was propped up by the CIA in 2014. So I stand in solidarity with the Ukrainians. I stand with all of them, which is why I want the conflict to end. Meanwhile, you have insane states like Finland trying to join NATO. We're going to cover that today too. Hopefully we had time. I had to do a Saturday show because there's so much shit going on. Because we still got to cover Finland. I covered this a week ago. Remember when there was discussions about Sweden and Finland joining NATO? And I covered this at the time. I released a segment. Well, I'm like, guys, do you know how crazy this is for Sweden and NATO for Sweden and Finland to join NATO? And then they were saying, oh, well, we had to do this because Russia invaded Ukraine, because we're scared of our security. Like, lying by omission, because as members of EU states, you guys already get security guarantees. And by doing this, Finland breaks the contract that they have with Russia ever since the 90s, declaring and pledging neutrality. Sweden and Finland pledged neutrality with Russia because they're bordering Russia. It makes sense for them to be neutral. So just like the Ukraine and just like the West lied about the Minsk agreement, Finland and Sweden lied regarding their contract with Russia regarding remaining neutral. Do you guys understand how crazy this is? And you got progressives going along with this shit. And people think my title of this video may be inflammatory. If you are not critical of this, let alone sending 40 billion, you are a U.S. imperialist. You are a puppet of the empire. You are the enemy. In no universe should you have Marjorie Taylor Greene and Rand fucking Paul outflanking you on this issue. This is not a left. Well, let's keep it simple. Let's just say this is not a left-right issue. I can break that down another way, but let's just keep it simple. It's not a typical red versus blue partisan tribal game. We are talking about global leaders literally creating a global food crisis, an economic crisis, the likes we have never seen. They are setting up World War III. You guys understand? By them pushing into NATO, and I don't want to hear people say, "Oh my God, Russia they warned they're going to escalate." They did this. Luckily, they slowed down. Luckily, based ass Turkey. When I shouldn't say based Turkey, but Turkey was like, "Bro, you guys out of your fucking mind." So Turkey is shutting that down because NATO needs unanimous consent in order for a state to join. So Turkey was like, "Guys, you guys are crazy," and that's Erdogan saying that. Imagine fucking Erdogan from Turkey saying that you guys are crazy. That is what they're doing. So I had to do another live. We had to do a Saturday live. We also, if you look the link in the description, we're going to have a call-in post show. So if you are one of the progressive imperialists, if you are a Bernie AOC stan, if you're a Ukraine flag stan, I would love for you to call in our show and explain why you want a fucking nuclear war with Russia. And if you want to criticize Russia, please explain. Someone name me a state that will put up with what Russia has put up with. The Minsk agreement broken. Finland and Sweden trying to break their contract with Russia. You had the West arming fucking Nazis next to their border. Imagine if Russia or China aimed active hostile Nazis on the Mexican or Canadian border. We'll be there real quick. So keep your this is not the place. Like if you have Putin derangement syndrome. These people have been fighting Nazis for generations. You put Nazis on the borders. They started purging ethnic Russians. But they banned the language. And then you guys are shocked. Every single foreign policy analyst, even the imperialist ones, said if NATO continues to expand, shit is going to get real. We all knew it was going to happen because every single state would do it. So if every single state would do what Russia is doing, why not criticize the power that I can hold accountable? Why not criticize the greater power, the greater evil? When you look at U.S. and NATO, they started this. Shit. We probably talking about we talking about foreign policy today. We also have you guys see the title. That's not clickbait. Kit from Heartlands Media. He should be dropping by in around 15-20 minutes or so. He's my guest for today. I actually didn't get into all the I didn't get to actually the meat of all the stories. That was just kind of a quick rundown. Let's do a quick chat because we got plenty of people in here. Friend of the show, Robin, how you doing? Big shout out to all the friends that are watching. Neoliberalism just wants you to die unless you can produce more widgets. We are just worker ants. Capitalism is a system that is designed to crash every 5 to 8 years. But when it crashes, the people in charge, the capitalist class, they get richer, we get poorer. They're doing this all the time. That's how our system works. Thank you for the comment, friend of the show, Roxanne. Glad you're calling them out, Nick. It's outrageous. We are living in a crazy time. I've been warning you guys about this political realignment. The Democratic Party became they always have been enablers of the intelligence community and the military industrial complex, but now they are openly the face of it. So, damn, a lot of great comments, man. I'm sorry we don't have super chats anymore. We are effectively demonetized, right? So please support us on Patreon. So unfortunately we can't do super chats. But before we go, our guests get here, because Kit is actually scheduled for the next like 15 minutes or so. I wanted to cover the killing of Shireen Abdul Akleh, the prominent Palestinian journalist that was assassinated by the state of Israel. And that's the reason why I started that rant to begin with, because like you have people criticizing RBN for being critical of Nina when Nina says she stands with Israel. You're against BDS. The squad has shown nothing but weakness on the issue of Israel, coordinating their votes so they can get more Iron Dome funding. So my criticisms of them is not like the right wing criticisms. It's you guys are shitty left leaders. There's this thing where a lot of like U.S. leftists, and this is why RBN, this is why we need a black leftist channel. You guys think leftism is just advocating for like canceling student loan debt, Medicare for all for like white suburbia. Like you guys they advocate just for white suburbia, shit that will help them, right? That's great. We want to increase the quality of life. That's the goal that we have. But leftism is the fight for liberation, for colonized people against their colonizers and their oppressors. That's what it always has been. Social Democrats decided to join with the empire, and they have sold black and brown people out. If your leftism does not include anti-imperialism, destroying the military and the prison industrial complex, as far as I'm concerned, as a black Marxist, you are not on the left. That's why my bar is not high. Like you guys see all the anti-imperialist voices that we have on our channel. Check out the anti-imperialist summit. We bring in a ton of people. We bring some people like, oh, and I hear some people say, oh my God, why you invite this person on? And I'm like, I invite this person on because he's an anti-capitalist, he's an anti-imperialist. We don't have to agree on everything else. Like that's, to me, that's the main bar, because if you're not anti-imperialist, you don't even understand that the point of leftism is fighting for colonized people, fighting for liberation. The class part is a giant part of that. That's part how we continue to achieve the liberation and the fight against the U.S. empire. This is what Fred Hampton, this is what Malcolm X, MLK, this is what my revolutionary leaders told us. So the class issues are important, but you can't abandon the fight against state violence and empire. Like this is what the progressives do. This is what the squad sycophants do. They would say, oh my God, I am progressive because I support canceling student loan debt, which will help white suburbia out a lot. Obviously, it helped me out if I have free healthcare. Like they want increased wages, they want increased benefits for them, but they are okay with funding the police more. they are okay with funding the police more. They're okay with sending $40 billion to Ukraine. They're okay with the endless expansion of the military-industrial complex. Their solidarity ends at anything that might affect them. And at RBN, and we're trying to tell you, that shit is not acceptable anymore, especially as our state continues to grow more violent. The Democratic Party has doubled down, and they enhanced the U.S. empire more than the Republican Party. Do you guys think I'm lying? Do you guys understand that Jim Crow Joe, he expanded the border industrial complex more? I'm gonna read this up and now get to the Israel story, because a lot of people don't understand what the Democratic Party is. The same people who cared about the kids in cages, they are now like, we're gonna vote blue again in 2022 and 2024. And I'm like, are you paying attention? Are you seeing what's happening? Joe Biden is doing everything that Donald Trump did, but he is doing it better. But they are being lulled to sleep by civility politics. That's literally what it is. Look, the Biden administration put out its fiscal year 2023 budget. which proposed $97 billion for DHS. The agency is the largest in the 2 decades history, larger than Trump. But is AOC crying about the kids in cages under Joe Biden? Is she tweeting about abolishing ICE? No. This is what made the Democratic Party dangerous. This is what white leftists, privileged bourgeoisie leftists don't understand when they still have sympathy for this party. I am not ignoring the fascist Republicans. I am telling you the Democratic Party is the greater evil because they get more evil shit done. Joe Biden is looking at Donald Trump like he's a lightweight because he is. Check this out. I'm going to continue reading this. It get worse. The Custom Borders Protection, they get $17.5 billion, the most money that agency ever received. The Immigration and Custom Enforcement will get $8.5 billion. Jim Crow Joe is breaking records, guys, in terms of funding the empire and our oppressors. But the squad is still, they said Joe Biden gets an A. They still on the side of the Democratic Party. Now, do you guys understand why I named the video the way I did? Bernie isn't Biden, bro, despite this. Combine those two, and that $26 billion would be the highest sum ever dedicated to border and immigration enforcement, significantly more than the $20 billion that the Trump administration started out in 2017. Significantly more than $20 billion. So, do you guys understand why RBN has people sweating? There are a lot of people who think the left is just about advocating for bourgeoisie politics. If you're not advocating for this, if you are still propping up the party that is expanding the police more, Joe Biden, he just said he wants Democratic mayors and cities to send all COVID money to the police. That's what he said. That's what he's doing. He's funneling more money to the police. He sent no COVID money to you. He's sending it to Ukraine. But the progressives are on that side, and people will say we are engaging in left infighting. I'm calling that out. Damn, I need to get into the here. I need to do the. All right, that's a good segment. All right, let me cover the killing of Shireen Abdul Akla because I keep going on these insane rants, but this is a hard story to cover. We all seen the Western media. I cover in my initial stream. Check out, and a few days ago, I did a stream that when this was breaking, and I covered all the horrific headlines that comes from our Zionist media that meant to play defense for the violent apartheid terrorist state of Israel, because this is what terrorist state do. This is terrorism. Their goal is to kill journalists, to invoke fear, so other journalists do not want to report on the violence going on in Israel. So that is quite literally the textbook definition of terrorism. So Israel is a terrorist state. Are we clear? So this article, this comes from Al Jazeera because obviously they're on top of this because this is their 12th reporter that has died reporting on in war zones, right? I think ever since the 90s, they were founded and they had 12 journalists that was killed. And Shireen, not only a Palestinian, she was an American citizen as well, worked at Al Jazeera. So they're pissed. They've been calling out Israel, right? And then they explained how the Western media was slammed for their coverage of this. They were saying that, oh my gosh, Shireen died in a clash. She was shot in the head. Who shot her? And we explained, and then we showed examples of the media. I think they have some examples here in the article of them covering for Israel here. Let's see. This is one of the criticisms. Shireen Abdul Akla was shot and killed by Israel sniper while reporting on an Israeli military raid of a refugee camp. Dies at 51. See, this is the New York Times headline. Stream Abdul Akla, trailblazing Palestinian journalist, dies at 51. They put dies like like a piano fell on her head or something, right? Look at the subheadline. Palestinian reporter was killed in the West Bank. They put killed so vaguely as this, so someone will be like, oh, I wonder who did it. That's tragic. No, the proper headline for this is Shireen Abdul Akla was assassinated by the Israeli government. She had a vest on that had pressed on there, a helmet on. They knew what they was doing. They killed multiple journalists this year. Hey, Kid, my friend, I see you. We gotta introduce Kid, my friend. I'm gonna just share this one last video because there's so much to talk about on this Shireen story. I'm gonna play this live video and I'm gonna introduce my guests here. So I'll just share one video because I have a lot of them, but it's crazy, man, how they get away with this shit. It's crazy. Here, let me share this one. I don't really have to play the audio, but here's this tweet. One of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. Even in death, Shireen Abdul Akla is attacked by Israeli forces. Police attacked pallbearers carrying the coffin of a journalist who was shot in the face by Israeli soldiers. Why? Because the coffin is draped in the Palestinian flag. That's the best. That's the only thing that makes sense, because these people, Israel claim, like they lie. They always lie. They say, oh, there was Palestinian fighters over there. Does it look like they're Palestinian fighters mourning this lady? This brought together a crowd of thousands of people. This is another tweet. Israeli occupation forces attacked the funeral of Palestinian journalist Shireen after murdering her in cold blood. A genocidal state that does not even allow those it murders to be mourned in peace. This is why we need independent investigations, because if Israel look into this, they're going to say, we looked into this and we did nothing wrong. So this is what a terrorist state. Look at what terrorism means. To invoke fear. They don't want people to cover Israel-Palestine. They don't even want her to mourn. They don't want the Palestinian flag to be waved, because this is a significant shift. This is a significant shift. Because now this is making big headlines, right? And I've been saying the tide has been shifting on this issue for a while. This is going to be another bomb, like the same way that George Floyd was like a bomb. This is another one, especially now we got these footage that's coming out. So Israel, by any means necessary, is trying to prevent that bomb from coming out. He's trying to use terrorism to intimidate anyone from reporting on this, because they know Western media will apologize for their action no matter what they do. So I'm going to wrap up that segment with that. I want to introduce my guest here. It's been a while since we had Kit from Heartland's Media on. It's always fun to talk to my brother. I think you're ready. Here we go. Let's get Kit here.
Welcome. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Kit?
Well, as always, I'm pretty disappointed with, of course, how corporate media is covering this ridiculous murder. Let's face it, she was murdered, of Shireen. She was a fantastic journalist covering the conflict as well as the apartheid actions in Israel for almost 2 decades now. And again, the way she was executed, murdered, it's inexcusable of what we're hearing from the Israeli sources saying, oh, well, it was an accident. She was wearing the appropriate attire with the big words pressed on her Kevlar and on her body armor, because let's face it, that is an active war zone. She didn't have to die, and it was deliberate. It's inexcusable for anyone there who was armed with a rifle to say, oh, she was a threat. What was she armed with? A camera? Oh, I guess she was covering the truth.
Yeah, that's what they said. They literally said Israeli forces like, she armed with a camera.
Armed with a camera. Now, the last I checked, you can shoot things with a camera, but see, the thing is that's a phrase that photographers, videographers use by saying, oh, we're shooting a film here because we're getting an image you're shooting it, but nothing comes out of said camera or video camera. But unless maybe they are upset that she maybe took a photograph of the wrong individuals or something of that nature. But then again, even in death, she couldn't find peace, because when mourners were carrying her body, Israeli security forces attacked the coffin. They attack her supporters. They attack her mourners and all of that. It didn't have to happen.
This is a statement from Anthony Blinken. Then our friend of the show, Saul from International Leftist Coalition. This is his statement. She dunked on him though. He said, "We were deeply troubled by the images of Israeli police intruding into federal procession of Palestinian American Shireen Abdul Akla. Every family deserves to lay their loved ones to rest in a dignified and unimpeded manner." Do anyone know what missing from this? No cause for investigations. No cause for disarming and getting rid of Israeli weapons deals. And even he trying to do a small whitewash here. And that would, like, you guys know, Assad, she doesn't play. Like, the way you word this stuff matters. It's not they wasn't just intruding into the funeral. They was attacking. They was rioting. This is what we call it here. Like, when you see the police attacking people that protesting. The most recent example was the pro-choice rallies that police was attacking. They are rioting. This is the Israeli forces rioting. But go ahead, Kate. You wanted to chime in?
I just want to know what was their incentive to do so. And mind you, look, again, here's the double standard that we're seeing from this administration and, of course, from our own foreign policy. When it comes time for refugees, look, this conflict in Ukraine, and I know we're going to be talking about it in a little bit. I don't mean to fast forward or anything, but look at this conflict. Look at this conflict in Ukraine, okay? Look, there are innocent people there who are being hurt. And every day I hope that someone is going to have the emotional and mental maturity to get everyone at the table to sit down and have dialogue, because the longer this conflict continues on, I am very concerned that it will escalate into something that we will never, ever be able to recover from. But as we are seeing refugees leave Ukraine, they're getting special treatment. I'm just wondering, when will that treatment also go for refugees in Yemen? When will that treatment go for refugees from Libya, refugees from Syria? Probably not. We're not going to see that, especially from Central and South America either. We're not going to see that from this administration. And then when it comes time to even covering the abuse and silencing of reporters, we see corporate media talk about it in Ukraine and how Russia is also silencing its press, but the United States is doing that. And look how the United States is also whitewashing this murder of this innocent woman who was a phenomenal reporter and journalist. And again, you know, what I should have mentioned earlier in the live stream when I first got in is condolences again to her family, friends, and colleagues, because her loss, it'll be impossible to truly recover from. She was one of a kind, and she was very good at what she did.
Yeah, so there's a lot of speculation about why they did this. I give them no benefit of the doubt. They know, and I've been talking about this on this show, because of the hypocrisy of the West and the United States and how they've been using human rights as a shield. And this is what Cuba warned when they did the trial for kicking Russia off the UN Human Rights Council. They said, hey, we should all vote against these guys because they are politicizing human rights. And this is going to have a negative effect in the long term in many ways. And this is one of them. States like Saudi Arabia and Israel are doubling down on the human rights violations because they know they are shielded by being friendly to the West and the United States, especially seeing how strong the tie is between Israel and the United States. So even when there's pictures, even when there are people reporting on this, you get ridiculous ridiculous headlines from the New York Times and Forbes that is whitewashing who killed Shireen. Like, it's so insane. And Israel knows they have this shield of propaganda. And they know they don't need any sort of public goodwill to maintain that good flow of money that comes from the United States every year. They don't need a public goodwill of the people in the United States to keep the weapons flowing, because we don't have a democracy in this country. It's a dictatorship. Look at everything that is most popular with the American people. Do you really think once again, the most recent example, 70% of American people are not for them overturning Roe v. Wade, but they're going to do it anyway. The American people are not for corporate bailouts, but they're going to do it anyway. The average American person is not for us sending billions of weapons to Israel, but they're going to do it anyway. So even if we see these pictures and we see these stories, they don't give a fuck. This whole thing is all about intimidating people. Make sure you don't cover these events. They don't cover the ethnic cleansing of Palestinian people. So they murdered this journalist, this brave journalist, Shireen, who's been doing this work for decades. So now, if you're a journalist, you're like, shit, I ain't going over there. Right? Now think about, after this killing, how many people just said, who think about being a reporter, like, fuck, I ain't going over there. Shit, I ain't doing that. Every time someone said that, Israel accomplished their objective. Their accomplishment is not for you to like them. They don't care. They have one goal, and that is ethnically cleansing Palestinians off their land. So, sorry, I went on a little rant on
no,
that.
it's fine. Like, again, what is wrong with what you stated? There is nothing that you stated that is. I mean, we are again. Look, I'm still shocked at the images that we saw there, but this isn't the first time, and yet zero accountability. And nothing's going to be done. And sadly, when we look at how corrupt our entire government is, where you have money from all sides, lobby groups, especially, and Israel has a lot of lobby groups here in the United States, in Washington, D.C., and of course, they have influence over the two-party system that we are in, the Democratic and Republican parties. At the end of the day, you're not going to see any real pushback from any lawmaker or any senator or any House representative or anyone from the Biden-Harris administration. Yeah, they might tweet some things, but there we go. We see that all the time. This administration will never go to bat for press freedom. This administration will never hold Israel accountable for what is clearly a horrific crime. Dare I say, it's on par with breaking every single international rule when it comes down to protecting
Imagine
journalists.
if Russia did this to a Ukrainian reporter. And I know everyone been saying this, but you gotta drive that point home. Like that, it's so ridiculous. But go ahead, kid.
Well, and again, it is a double standard. If you see Russia do this or China do it, or any other country that the United States is at war with or is at odds with, what will CNN or MSNBC do? They'll say, oh no, look at this horrible government. Look at this terrible tyrant. All the while, we're doing this here in the United States towards our own journalists and whistleblowers and activists who are trying to cover corruption, abuse of power. These politicians know exactly what they're doing. They're making sure the neoliberal narrative is still being pushed upon us. And notice how little pushback this story is really getting. No one's up in arms about this because in many ways, corporate media and our political system has trained the American people to accept this. Oh, a journalist died. Big deal. Oh, $40 billion going to Ukraine. No worries.
That's why I said we're the most propagandized country. Like the fact that they can even do that. The fact that they can even pacify us this way. But go ahead, kid.
I'm actually impressed on how efficient this machine is that corporate media and the two-party system has made. And in many ways, Americans from boomers to Gen Z, all right, all of us, including Gen X, millennials, but I'm saying from boomers to Gen Z and everyone in between, we are so afraid when it comes time to really challenge the system. Any other country, the people would riot in the streets. Any other country, people would be pushing back and demanding more. But I guess we've been trained by our media to accept the bare minimum, to accept what is given to us, smile, nod, and just be happy about it. And then when we do have people who are supposed to, raise a ruckus or put on a show saying that they do care about us, yeah, they might do some performative art here and there, but then notice how quickly it evaporates away. You cannot expect change from this political system that we're in. You cannot reform it from within. And a lot of people need to start waking up to the fact that the media has lied to you. Our politicians have lied to you. And they've been building this system up even before many of us were born. and they're expecting us to just bow our heads and accept how things are. I'm surprised that even after the pandemic, Americans are still obedient and subservient to a political system and to a media that abandoned us in 2020. It really says a lot. It really, because I can think of any other previous generation that came before, maybe even the silent generation. I think Americans would be like, no, wait a minute, this isn't right. You just can't.
They are bitching and complaining about people protesting at people's homes. Do you see that? Like,
yeah. Well, you know what? Good. Let them protest in front of people's homes. I personally, I'm surprised it didn't happen in 2020. And I'm not talking about Supreme Court justices. I'm talking about protesting from senators' homes, House representatives' homes, administrative officials' homes. I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. I really don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. Because at the end of the day, I don't care if you're a diehard Democratic voter or a diehard Republican voter. Please tell me the big difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. If you're going to say, oh, Republicans believe in freedom and less taxes, and the Democrats are going to be like, oh, no. We believe in freedom, and we also believe in values and respect. And I'm like, bullshit. Here, I'm going to take a quote from my colleague Daniel. And you know what? Please use this, because here's how you could sum up the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Jimmy Dore has said it, that we are the children of alcoholics. This country is basically, we are run by children of alcoholics. So here's how you could sum up the Democratic and Republican Party. And this fits it perfectly. And especially it describes the voting base, because the voting base are children who've been abused. So at the end of the day, the Republican Party, it is the alcoholic father that will punch you. The Democratic Party is the pill-popping mother that mentally scars you and emotionally abuses you in your mind. That's who the two-party system is. So tell me, which one's the lesser of two evils? The one that beats you to a bloody pulp, or the one that scars you mentally for life? Which one is it? Tell me the difference. Because at the end of the day, it's the American people that are still victims. I don't care about this lesser of two evil bullshit. I've been lied to. We've all been lied to. And the Democratic Party and the Republican Party keep on farting along like everything's okay. People are being evicted from their homes. People are losing their businesses. People are struggling with debt. And yet you have jagoff networks like TYT and Majority Report who put on a show saying, oh, I can't believe this is happening. Democrats, start fighting. You get that little outrage from Anna Kasparian, or you saw that little performative art from Senator Elizabeth Warren. What else are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it to bring in change? Because if you're going to think that the Democrats are just going to be your friend and come charging right in, I got another thing coming for you. The Democratic Party was just out-lefted by Marjorie Taylor Greene and Senator Rand Paul.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
All right, so I don't mean to jump over that. In fact, look,
no, you're all good.
This is your show, so I don't know. I just had to get that out my chest.
I love it. This is usually how it goes when we talk. And this show, I usually just like free flow conversation, and we're having a good time. But with that said, since we got a little break, I do want to shift, because you mentioned you brought up the Ukraine proxy war, and obviously we got to touch base on that at least a little bit. Especially since you brought it up. The most recent breaking example of something that I've been following on this network is obviously the West is trying to escalate and turn this to World War III. They're trying to destabilize the global economy for God knows what reason, right? So this is from ABC News. And this is the following updates on Finland and Sweden's attempt to join NATO, which only serves one purpose, guys. This doesn't serve the purpose of protecting Sweden and Finland, despite all the propaganda, because they already get security insurances as a member of a EU state. Like, do you guys really think that Russia is going to invade Sweden and Finland and no one's going to do anything about it? Like, it doesn't make sense at face value. They already got protections. This only serves to probe and poke at Russia. And it's completely ahistorical in flipping this conflict on its head and misleading people what this conflict is about. Because what Finland and Sweden, what they're saying is, well, you have Russia that invaded Ukraine. So after Ukraine, who's next? That has nothing. They really think that Russia is trying to take over Europe. They want a neutral Ukraine. They want to denazify the region because of Azov Battalion. As I'm going to show you guys here later, the Democrats in 2019, they wanted to label them as a terrorist organization. Why? Because they was purging ethnic Russians. So it's all about halting NATO expansion, demilitarizing the region, and having a neutral Ukraine as laid out by the Minsk Agreement. So Sweden and Finland is literally lying to everyone because they were trying to pretend that Russia is on a goal of conquest. That is not what's happening here. So them actually joining NATO does the exact opposite of what they claimed they were trying to do. They said we want to protect our people, but them joining NATO is actually will put Russia in the conflict. So it's actually counterproductive. And this is what Russia said. Russia threatens to take retaliatory steps following Finland's NATO announcement. And what I tell you guys earlier, I don't want to hear the Putin derangement syndrome. Every single state will do the same exact thing if you had a hostile military alliance building up weapons at your border. So Finland had a contract with Russia saying that they will remain neutral and they will not join NATO. So this is Finland breaking their contract. The same way Ukraine and the West broke the Minsk Agreement. So you have the West and the US doing nothing but shattering agreements one after another. And then they're like, oh, big bad Putin threatening retaliatory steps. You guys see how they're not even being honest about what this is about. And you even had Democracy Now! I'm gonna play this clip. Even Democracy Now! Been getting this right. They been getting this right from day one. They had I covered how they had a Sweden peace protester, peace activist, I should say, who was on the show explaining the left in Sweden and the left in Finland. They don't want this. You know how they elected 2 female, young, progressive leaders? They're progressive leaders, and I'm gonna bring it back to the original topic, AOC and Bernie, right? I apologize, we're gonna get back to that.
Oh no, that's fine.
They was elected on being peace candidates, on being the progressive first ever female prime ministers. Now Sweden and Finland elected these female prime ministers, and now they are war-thirsty, bloodthirsty, trying to drive us to World War III, fucking insane criminals. Trying to
get that oil money. They want that blood money. They want the military-industrial complex, and of course, they want to be at behest of course, NATO and everything else that's connected to it. So already, it looks like a disaster ready to happen.
So I'm gonna show you guys this clip. I will just play a little bit of the clip for Democracy Now! Because they brought on someone who's a peace activist. I think he's from Finland, right? Yeah. No, sorry, German peace activist. There was another person they spoke to who was a Sweden peace activist. But listen to what he said. So I'm telling you, I'm getting this from the left in that region. The left in this region, just like us, I see parallels. They're being silenced, and Sweden and Finland is being pumped with the same propaganda we are being pumped with. So the neo-progressive, the social democrats in Sweden and Finland, they are falling for this, aka the Bernie Sanders and AOC. You guys see the parallels? And then there are Marxists, and there are real anti-imperialists, the real left in Sweden. They're like, you guys are out of your fucking mind. They polled this like a few weeks ago, and it's a 50-50 split in Sweden when they did poll, do you want us to go in NATO? But now they did a recent poll that showed that the tide is turning. More people want to go to NATO because they're pumping them with insane pro-NATO propaganda. That's why we're doing this breakdown. Now let's go through this Democracy Now! Clip, and then I'll get any your reactions, Kit. One second, guys.
To Berlin, Germany, where we're joined by Rainer Braun, the executive director of the International Peace Bureau, German peace activist, historian, author, who's campaigned for years against NATO. Talk about this decision made by Finland's president and prime minister and the significance of this. It looks like Sweden is, at their side in this.
It's again a significant change in the security system in Europe. Above all and first, it is a break of a contract. Finland has a contract with Russia. First contract is from 1948, the second one and the new one from 1992. which described neutrality and friendship between Finland and Russia as the background of their common relations. And Finland has not had not cancelled these treaties, so they are going against these treaties, which is a quite illegal action they are doing. The second point is the relations between Central Europe or NATO and Russia by the military spending is about 15-1 up to now. Now it will be 17 or 18-1. And it is obviously that Russia will react. So we have again a continuation of the escalation spiral in the center of Europe. And this is not peaceful. What should be the next? Should be the next Moldavia and Georgia? Should be the next that Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan will join NATO? It will be the next Japan. And what are the reactions of Russia? They will bring more nuclear weapons to the border of Poland and the Baltic countries. They will enlarge their military spending. Peoples on both sides will suffer. So it is definitely a step absolutely on the wrong direction.
I don't want to play too much of that. Make sure you guys check that video out. Whatever you think about democracy now, they have been doing a good job covering this. Like based on what I've been seeing. So yeah, if it doesn't make sense at face value, like if you want peace, why expand a military alliance? That more weapons do not lead to peace. Bombing do not lead to peace. Where does it end? And that's what you're saying. Where does it end? Is Japan gonna join NATO? What we doing here? There is no thought, and a lot of people on the Sweden left are falling for it, just like AOC burning the squad. So hold that thought. Okay, well, anything you want to add to that before we move on to the next part?
Look, I have no idea what this administration is trying to do or what they're hoping to achieve by trying to antagonize Russia further into this conflict. And of course, corporate media is now adding on to, Russia's going to further escalate war with Finland and any other country that's going to join NATO. By doing this, we're sending a message to everyone out there in the world that we're putting out this propaganda about a potential larger conflict, putting more countries on edge. Just as a side note, not only does the United States have its weapons of mass destruction pointed at its rivals like Russia and China, they got their weapons pointed at us too. And the minute when that button is pushed, when the first missile is launched and the first city is vaporized, there's no going back. And let's say humanity does recover from a global conflict like World War III, where every single city is nuked into oblivion. We will never, ever be able to achieve what we've gained right now, ever again. All the resources have been used up. Most of the planet has been dug through. We'll be a shell of what we once used to be. And it ends up we're all dead. It doesn't have to be this way, but yet we have politicians that are cheerleading for this war. You have politicians that are ready to fund this war. You have politicians that are going along with the neoliberal narrative from CNN, from MSNBC. And this is the aftermath, especially in 2016, when Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party were spewing out that false conspiracy theory called Russiagate. And it has led everyone to have this mindset that Russia is the great big enemy. Look, Putin is no saint. He's a bad guy just like any other oligarch. This isn't a war between democracy and oligarchy. This is a war between oligarchs who are playing their game with us, the people, worldwide. We're the pawns in their game. There's no innocent government in this. The only innocent group in all of this are the people worldwide that are suffering by their political ruling class who want to further instigate a global conflict, which we, the working class people, poor people, have to fight.
I want to ask you, because I think we can transition from here, because we're still going to have Ukraine on our mind. But what is your thoughts on the $40 billion that obviously the progressives, they signed along with? Actually, let me play this video, because I think this video will be great to get your reaction from. Nancy Pelosi was giving her reasoning on the floor. So overall, I would love to hear your reaction regarding our government abandoning us And listen to what Nancy Pelosi said in response for her, pretty much selling the American people out once again, giving all resources and abandoning the people in this country that's starving while funneling all that money to shady weapon defense contractors. Like, guys, don't think for 1 second it's really going to help Ukrainians. This is dark money that we are sending. So listen to Nancy Pelosi. Look at this crazy shit.
Just think about when I was hungry, you fed me in the Gospel of Matthew. Well, I thank you for your question, but I have to say we're capitalist, and that's just the way it is. Just think about when I was hungry, you fed me in the Gospel of Matthew. Well, I thank you for your question, but I have to say we're capitalist.
All right, that's old hagbag Nancy Pelosi, the old bag herself. She's in her 80s. She's not in her prime. She's a senile senior citizen who is clearly out of depth and needs to retire immediately. But knowing the Democratic Party, they'll have one of her sycophant relatives or followers take her place. This is the Nancy Pelosi says, just calm down. Just calm down. We feed people. I like to eat ice cream too. Good morning. Sunday morning. That's Nancy. That's her in a nutshell. That's who she is. She says that, oh, we're there to help feed the people. What about the American people? What about the people in the state of California, Nancy, where there is an ongoing homelessness crisis, especially in the great big city of LA, Los Angeles, where, again, you, Nancy Pelosi, you're supposed to represent the state of California. There's a mass exodus of people leaving that state because it is just too expensive.
Look at the homeless.
There. Even the rich people are leaving California because it's too expensive. There's no incentive to stay there. Nancy, the American people are starving. But, oh, wait, because we're capitalists, the regular person has to suffer. But, oh, hey, wait, stamp our feet. We can get $40 billion to the people in Ukraine. Here's what I have to say about this money. It's not going to go to any orphanage in Ukraine. It's not going to go to any starving mothers in Ukraine. It's not going to go to any people who have been disabled or scarred by this war. It's going to go to the government. It's going to be used to buy more weapons. It's going to be used to do more nefarious projects that's going to involve, again, our taxpaying dollars into contributing to this ridiculous war. So what I have to say is I don't want to ever hear the goddamn excuse from any Democratic or Republican lawmaker, oh, we can't do Medicare for all. We can't do student debt forgiveness. We can't do affordable education. We can't invest into our infrastructure. Oh, we can't do anything about, climate change. We can't do this. We can't do that. How is it that we got the money for $40 billion? And by the way, Democrats, by the way, AOC, by the way, Senator Bernie Sanders, hey, Warren, and all those other wonderful Democratic lawmakers, how are you going to pay for it? How? How are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay for it, lawmakers? And, hey, all the while people are right now protesting and trying to fight Roe v., this potential overturning of Roe v. Wade, Democrats, why is this your number one thing, $40 billion? Shouldn't you be, I don't know, doing something a little bit more important, like codifying Roe v. Wade instead? Or, I don't know, helping out struggling Americans? But no, we got $40 billion. To which I have to say, thank goodness for Senator Rand Paul, something I would never say before in my life. And yeah, he's a Republican. Yeah, he's part of that same Jagoff party. But by him stalling it, I mean, okay, he's raising the question. How come, we got to give $40 billion? I mean, we have an inflation crisis right now. Now, again, don't get it twisted. Again, Senator Rand Paul is part of the GOP, so I wouldn't be too quick to praise the man. But a broken clock can be right twice a day. And Marjorie Taylor Greene roasting AOC about, oh, hey, how big is the military carbon footprint? I mean, it's downright priceless. What on earth did the Democrats think was going to happen? Now, the Republican Party, of course, they're going to be obstructionists and try and stop anything that the Biden-Harris administration is doing. So this is only a temporary thing that the Republican Party is going to do. Whether they're all sincere about it, I mean, that's up to you and your perspective. But remember, the same people who donate to the Democratic Party are the same people who donate to the Republican Party. They're all friends with each other.
Yeah, they all.
But $40 billion, $40 billion, that money could be used on us. So thank you, AOC, for confirming to me that you're just a neoliberal Democrat. Thank you, Senator Bernie Sanders, for showing your hypocrisy. How come you didn't have the backbone to do what, I don't know, Senator Rand Paul did?
Yeah, that should be Bernie making headlines instead of him.
That should be all of them. But no, what they are, they're afraid of being smeared by corporate media, by being called Putin puppets, Assad puppets. You know, the only Democrat who I think was able to stand against all that criticism and have it roll off her back was Representative Tulsi Gabbard. I know we all have our different opinions about her and where she stands on issues, but I mean, at the end of the day, comparing how she was smeared in 2020 compared to all the other Democratic lawmakers, they wouldn't stand a chance. And they're all so afraid. They're so afraid of losing their wonderful jobs. They're so afraid of losing their connections and the lifestyle of gold-plated healthcare and a six-figure salary.
Yeah, once you start seeing MSNBC shit libs start praising your progressive leaders, like lot of the like Joy-Ann Reid fans, the Rachel Maddow fans, they love AOC now. Like they are their biggest supporters. They will hate her if she was actually a real challenge to power. And they actually was standing up to the Democratic Party instead of being PR agents. They served the empire, and I've seen enough. I'm calling it. Like you see the title of this video, and that's not clickbait. I say it with my chest. Bernie, AOC, and the squad, and that progressive wing, they are imperialists, and that is being nice. Now I'm gonna go through this here real quick. I'm gonna get your guys' reaction because I think now it's time for us to start having some fun. And there's a reason why I covered everything the way I did in the order I did, because I wanted us to build the argument against why anyone should support this Ukrainian aid package. I wanted us to talk about the Ukrainian conflict a little bit and the sanity of the Western allies enjoying NATO. I want you guys to understand their intentions is not protecting the Ukrainian people. I want that to be said before we cover Bernie Sanders and AOC's just straight up joining the empire in this new Cold War that may lead to World War III. And now, have you seen Bernie Sanders and AOC say anything about this as well? This is the Democratic Party. There's so many people that are stuck in 2015 and they don't understand the role that these people play. We're gonna take care of you in COVID. Trump abandoned you. We're gonna get COVID under control. We're gonna send you relief.
They still owe us that goddamn $2,000. And I don't want to hear that bullshit. Oh, it was just $1,400, really. The $600 that you got from Trump was a down payment. Bullshit. I was born on the south side of Chicago, lived in the city my whole goddamn life. When you say $2,000, it's not, $1,400 and that's $600. No. That $600 was one thing. That $1,400 was another thing. That $2,000 is what you promised me. Give it to me, and if I don't have it by Monday, I'm fucking curb stomping your ass on the streets. Go ahead, call the cops. I'll go ahead and wait right here as you're knocked out with your teeth on the ground. We're owed $2,000 goddamn dollars, and not a single one of us got it.
How do people let them get away with that? I would never know.
Because the orange boogeyman's gone, and they all had to go to brunch. They all had to drink their mimosas. They all had to suckle their little oysters and get some nice little fancy drinks and dinners and brunches and breakfasts, and everyone finally didn't have to carry a protest sign anymore because women's reproductive rights were protected. The environment was being protected. We weren't going to start World War III. Oh, shit, that's happening right now. And notice, all those motherfucking shit libs, all those vote blue motherfuckers are right now, they don't know what to say.
They're dead silent.
Especially those AOC stands. And even for a brief moment, I'll give it.
Voss took off his Ukraine flag off his Twitter. They purged their Twitter profiles of Ukraine. They purged. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but hold on, wait. Hold on. I'm gonna pretend to put on, and I'm going to be ignorant here for a second. Hold on. Watch. You're going to see acting 101. What? They did? Why would they ever do that? It's almost like they got some facts and they realized, oh no.
Hey guys, I'm telling you,
we got screwed over.
Hey, y'all, I'm telling y'all, all the people that was like defending, attacking us for, like the people that are attacking us for criticizing the squad, the people who was all gung ho with Ukraine, like Vosh having Ukraine flag in his Twitter that he changed recently. And I tell you guys, like in a few months, maybe a year, they're gonna be like, yeah, man, I was warning y'all, man. I told y'all AOC and Bernie were sellouts. I told y'all that we should send money to Ukraine. They're gonna pretend they never was telling you.
No. The
I'm
best,
not letting them do it. I'm not letting them do it.
I'm probably gonna. I know her first name, but I played her video on Harlan's Media yesterday for Friday's show. It was the first segment we did, and it was a collage video of Majority Report and TYT.
Oh yeah, you guys want to see it again?
Yeah, smearing you guys, the general strike, force to vote, March for Medicare for All, and the last 10 seconds of Rome and JB. Right there. Hey, yeah, that's like a work of art right there. Because the thing is, it's going to be revealed that all these people who were carrying water for these sellout progressives, for Bernie, for AOC, none of them knew what the fuck they were talking about. They all had Trump derangement syndrome. They all had Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome.
Yeah, they were.
And the thing is,
they will never admit they was wrong. They will never admit they was wrong.
The thing is, look, I'm sorry to go on a rant here because
no, go ahead, man. That's what we're doing. We having fun.
Because this is your show, right? And
no, we having fun, bro. Go ahead.
Look, I'm going to try and be careful what I say here because it could be taken out of context, right? But when you have people like Majority Report, like Sam Cedar, trying to explain to Sabrina, oh, you're not addressing the issue right, or let me explain it to you in this way. It's kind of a pretty bigoted way that you've seen Majority Report and TYT really talk down to Revolutionary Blackout Network and to other independent media networks that don't toe the line to the Democratic Party. And there is some undertones of bigotry and racism a little bit from these larger platforms that want to try and correct how activists and organizers are moving, and it's pretty messed up on their part.
I'm still waiting for Jordan to apologize to JB Font, by the way, for his take on Nina Turner.
Wait, hold on. I heard from a few people that Jordan tried to invite JB onto the show.
Did he?
Onto his show. I don't know. I think I saw one time on my live stream chat that Jordan tried to get him on. I know that JB has some. He had some.
I'm saying that Jordan tried to call him out for his prediction, and let's just say Jordan was right. That's all I'm gonna say. So there's definitely
JB was right. You said Jordan was right.
JB. Yeah, you're right. Sorry,
JB. I had to correct.
JB was right. JB.
God damn it.
Which is it's all good. It's all good. I still like Jordan. Like we're friends. I got nothing against the guy, but it's about the issue. It's just about the issues. That's all it's about. And there are definitely people who do not appreciate our rise in independent media. That's for sure. And I take pride in what we build. What me and CJ and Rome started, because I'm like, if I'm a black American, it's time for us to start speaking for ourselves. And there are a lot of amazing white allies like yourself and a lot of many people you guys seen on the channel that saw that effort and they was like, yo, this is dope. Let's help build them up. But then there was the other white leftists who saw that and they are the white saviors. And they say, no, hell no, you're not speaking for yourself. I speak for you. This is all the people that they always trying to you guys know who they are. You guys gonna see them in this video. I'm gonna show you guys this video, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. They like, you don't speak for yourself. I know better than you. These are the same people who hate the same people they claim they fight for. So let's play the video. Go ahead, Kit. Let's play the video, and then you can add in after that if you want.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's play the video. I think we hyped it up enough. So let's go through it. I love this video. I watched it so many times. Big shout out to Courtney Banks.
Courtney Banks. Thank you. That's her name.
She brought her
Courtney. Sorry.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. Big shout out to Courtney. She's definitely a member of this community. So let's check this video out.
I think that it's worth being skeptical of people who spend the majority of their time delegitimizing and dividing the left. I think it's worth questioning what the motivations are. I think it's worth being skeptical.
Live stream at one point. It was like a 3-day event, and I checked in at their live stream at one point. They had like 300 viewers or something like that.
Yeah, that's enough for a general strike, yeah. Look, I'm sure that both of these people have deep union organizing experience and labor experience.
So when we're talking about cancellation of student loan debt, we're talking about radically thinking about what it looks like to put financial power back into Black people's hands.
Like, can you imagine deciding to do a fucking general strike? Like, deciding to do a general strike educational seminar or whatever the fuck? Not bringing a single fucking labor union organizer to that?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name's Trevor Beitelman. I'm the president and business agent of BCTGM Local 3G. We're currently the people that are on strike against the Kellogg Company.
And then ranting about fucking Twitter posts.
I just want to pause it there for a reason. So when they saw this event and they saw it was hosted by a bunch of proletariat Black people, you guys see how their immediate assumption was, oh, they obviously don't know what they're doing. So, like, I don't even understand why would they even run with, like, that was like the memo that they sent in their group chat and they're like, we're just gonna run with it. Like Boston, the same thing. So it was like a memo. They doing the Jones Strike Summit with no union organizers. And I'm telling you guys, there are people to this day that still repeat that because they got a platform that way larger than us. They never heard the record corrected. They're like, oh, that's just some group that had a Jones Strike Summit with no union organizers because they spread that lie, just assuming, oh, these people, these Black motherfuckers don't know what they're doing. Also, ruling classism too. But can you want to chime in? And then we get back.
So before we play the rest of the video, and we should. All right, then here's my challenge to Humanist Report, Rational National, TYT, Majority Report, Hassan, and everyone else. Show us how it's done. Show us how it's done. If you guys are so big and bad and tough, and you know what needs to be done, show us. Do your own 3-day general strike. We are waiting to see how it's done. Show us your march for Medicare for all. And to be fair, look, I'm going to be consistent because one thing I take pride here at Heartland's Media is being consistent. I want to call for more citizen journalists like yourself. I want to see that nationwide. I want to get money out of politics. I want there to be Medicare for all, and I don't care how we do it, be it at the federal level or at the state level, support good ballot initiatives and all that other good stuff. And look, when it came down to force to vote, I was with Jimmy Dore for force to vote for Medicare for all. And then when good old fat Tony, Cenk Uygur, did force to vote for 15, I'm like, okay, Cenk, show us how it's done. And force to vote for 15 failed miserably. It didn't even gain attention, and the Democrats let it go under. So, you know, okay, Cenk, well, you couldn't do force to vote because, one, you didn't have a backbone to really call out the Democratic lawmakers, and Sinema just did her curtsy, and then that's it. So, TYT, Humanist Report, Rational National, Hassan, Majority Report, show us how it's done. Show us how it's done.
People ask us why we call these people out. These people were legitimately was not on my radar. Like, look at my video library, my YouTube channel before. Never talk about these people. FHL, look at our old videos. Never talk about these people. It was through this action. I'm like, bro, they are malicious because they moved in a very coordinated way. I noticed that there was a coordinated message among all the bread tubers, and they also lied about what was said. They was trying to paint the General Strike Summit as like some unserious like event where we wasn't really talking about anything, and they all was repeating it. And the next part of the video, you're gonna see Courtney. She showed the guy that we invited on General Strike Summit, who was also on TYT, saying the same thing. So my question is, why is it legit when TYT does it, but not when we do it? That's what the next part of the video also gonna show. And when I saw them lie about it, right, and I saw the coordinated message, I'm like, bro, this is definitely something that they cooked up in the group chat, some sort of coordinated attack. They were like, oh, they're not even talking about nothing. And they did that without inviting us on, without showing the Jones Strike, because they knew their platform was much bigger than ours. So Hassan gets maybe hundreds and hundreds of times more views than we did. He went out and smeared it. Vols get way more views than we did. He went out and smeared it. Oh, they wasn't even talking about organizing, right? They did this, and you notice they never retracted their lie about not having union organized. Still to this day, because it's all about forming a narrative. It doesn't. They know their fans not actually gonna go and watch it. So they're like, oh, they just had a General Strike Summit where they were just talking about Twitter posts and shit. And our General Strike Summit is still there. Our 30+ hours of General Strike Summit is still there. And I encourage you to watch it. Anyone who will sum it up like that, all because I reacted to Hassan. I reacted to a video of Hassan lying about it. I was like, this is ridiculous. They took that in like, oh, this is all they doing. You said it was a dishonest attack. And they knew they had a big platform. They would never address it, never correct it. And now my question to you guys is, why would they do that? The video at the end gets to that. Now we're gonna play. I'm gonna rewind it just a little bit, and we play it all the way through. I just want to show you guys that fact. And when they show that guy speaking, and I love the video so good. Courtney is very detailed, and she does that for a reason. She showed that guy speaking at our event, and then show that guy speaking at TYT. So it's like, bro, why is one legit but not the other? But anyway, great video. So many details. That's why I had to leave chime in once. But let's get back to it.
Deciding to do a fucking general strike, like deciding to do a general strike educational seminar or whatever the fuck, not bringing a single fucking labor union organizer to that.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name's Trevor Beitelman. I'm the president and business agent of BCTGM Local 3G. We're currently the people that are on strike against the Kellogg Company.
And then ranting about fucking Twitter posts to 22 people.
2019 that he called like April 1st or April 2nd. And when he called, he found out he had missed a $20 payment.
Drove his truck into the Mohawk River over a late $20 payment to his Medicaid plan.
What a pathetic, delusional, sad state of affairs that we're in. That more than if more than one other person, if it's not just these people's friends and families watching right now, if more than one person is watching this, it's sad. Like, that's so fucking sad.
I think pressure on politicians is good. If the important thing is that from my perspective, that the good faith, like what is the agenda in pressuring the politicians?
Straight like that. Hey, what happened to that? What happened to that March for Medicare for All? You said you can do better 6 months ago.
Everyone retweet that video. Man, if only more people could see it, because that video got like almost 100,000 views now on Twitter.
No, it needs to get to 1 million. Hey, all right, folks. Listen, everyone that's watching this live stream chat. Hey,
I need y'all retweet that because
here's your homework assignment. Retweet that. Shout out to Courtney Banks. Apologies because I think I said her name Courtney. I just forgot her last name, but Courtney Banks. Well done editing and putting together that 2-minute film, the video, because look, it's got to get out here. The incentive is to make sure that we hold these politicians accountable, Sam Cedar. That's the incentive. These politicians are public servants. They work for us. And when they post these feel-good tweets of, what does Medicare for All mean for your family? What does student debt mean for your family? What does housing as a human right mean to you and your family? What does this mean to your family? What is this progressive policy issue? I'll tell you what it means, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Bernie Sanders, and Ro Khanna, and everyone else. It means the goddamn world. You promised something and you didn't deliver. You see, I get a lot of pushback from a lot of my critics who say, oh, hey, Kit, Heartland's media is so mean to Democrats. How come you're not mean to the Republican Party? It's because I know what to expect from the GOP. Oh, what, this is one point that Senator Rand Paul and Marjorie Taylor Greene out-lefted AOC and Bernie? Well, hey, that's on Bernie and AOC because really they should have been the ones leading on that. So right. I'll acknowledge
when a good time to get to that. Yeah, hold that thought, Kit. Hold that thought, because actually we getting long into this now. Let's get to that story. Let's get to that story.
Right. But I just got to say this. With the Democrats, though, they put on this smiling face, telling us, oh, that they care about us, oh, that they respect us, oh, that they want our support and everything else. But they don't deliver. They always abuse that promise. And now they're shocked that people aren't turning out to vote. This midterm election cycle, there's a lot of fear propaganda that Democrats can use. But I want to ask anyone that's going to vote blue no matter who, if the Democrats do retain a majority, will they codify Roe v. Wade? Will they make it happen? Will that be a promise? Can you do something about it? Because if not, it's going to be a serious issue.
Well said. Well said, Kit. I want to add this part because now let's actually dive into why it's so important to drag these progressives here. Look at this headline. When is this? This is today. Yeah, I saw this today. So we had Bernie Sanders and AOC vote for this $40 billion Ukraine package. Now they are being outflanked to the left by Marjorie Taylor Greene and Rand Paul on this issue. Now, why are we talking about? Why is this so important? Because just like Kid just said, they ran as a challenge to the two-party duopoly, to the Democratic Party, and they are simply not delivering. Not only are they not delivering, they joined the other side. Look at this headline. And this is what Bernie Sanders and AOC is complicit with. U.S. pledged billions to fight climate change. Then came the Ukraine war. So remember when Bernie Sanders and AOC grifted off of climate activists and pretended they cared about this issue? Remember when AOC stole the Green New Deal from Howie Hawkins and the original authors from the Green Party who wrote it, who specifically said the goal of the Green New Deal is to demolish the military-industrial complex, and then they watered down the Green New Deal and like completely got rid of all the shit about imperialism, and now they are turning their back against the movement. The U.S. pledged billions to fight climate change. Then came the Ukraine war. So now this is the funny thing, and now we gotta get to the details because this is extremely funny. I know we're going a little long, kid, but hopefully you got a little time.
No. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to be here. I mean, look,
Good.
at the end of the day, always happy to collaborate.
Absolutely. It's always good to hear from Kit from Harlan. Make sure you guys subscribe to him. But look, check this out. And I remember I did a segment a long time ago on RBN where I explained to you guys why the Paris Climate Agreement was trash. If you're new viewers, I got to clip that out for you guys. I explained it so many times, I'm almost admits to do it again. But everyone who's saying we got to vote for Joe Biden for the Paris Climate Agreement, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? That non-binding agreement literally did nothing. No one was following it. And this article also explains, like, it got worse now because of the Ukraine war, but it never was a functioning thing. Listen, I'm going to read this article. The United States owes billions of dollars in climate funding to developing countries because I explained, they never tell you this in the media. The Paris Climate Agreement, a giant part of that was the biggest countries were supposed to set up a funding mechanism for developing countries who literally did not have green infrastructure they need. So for all the people that were praising Joe Biden, like Bernie Sanders in the squad, because they are useful idiots, they ignored the fact that the funding mechanism was never set up in the first place. So anyone saying, oh, I got a climate plan, we just get back in the Paris Climate Accord. That means nothing. It never meant nothing. I remember I saw a video. I'm sorry I got to call people out, but these people got a bigger platform than us. They lead people off the left. There's a video from Callin on the Secular Talk where he was like, yeah, Biden's getting back to the Paris Climate Accord. That's a good idea. It literally meant nothing, especially while you're spending the military budgets, right? But anyway, let me continue the article before I go on another rant. But the war in Ukraine is delaying the payments and slowing down U.S. progress to reduce greenhouse emissions. And another problem with the Paris Climate Agreement, the 5 biggest countries in the Paris Climate Accord wasn't even in compliance. So not only do you have a lot of smaller countries who couldn't, because they literally couldn't get in compliance because they didn't have the infrastructure, the biggest countries that could wasn't doing it anyway.
Well, again, this should show everyone that this is nothing but words that these politicians are going to offer. And the thing is, the reason why they keep on getting away with it is because there's a lot of people that are emotionally attached to these lawmakers that view them as heroes and someone that's above them, when in fact they're not. They are not infallible. They are not these royal beings. They are not people that are above a reproach or criticism. They are human beings like the rest of us. And like human beings, they lie, they can scam, and they can fail to follow through with their promises. Because at the end of the day, what's more beneficial? Keep on doing fundraising, saying, if you donate to us, we'll protect your rights. We'll do something about climate change, but you got to keep on donating to us and voting for us. That's the thing. It's about the money. If they were able to solve the problems, oh no, no more fundraising. Oh no, no more being on the cover of Vanity Fair. Oh no, they can't be on CNN or MSNBC. They can't have that little fake back and forth WWE wrestling match with their GOP counterparts because again, it's all a show. You know, I want to reference this show, the Venture Brothers, for example. They had the Guild. They had the Guild of Calamitous Intent, and of course, they had OSI and the superheroes and the good guys, right? But one of the rules is that the bad guys and good guys, they were just fencing. It was the art of fighting, costume villains and costume superheroes fighting, super geniuses versus mad scientists. But it was all a show and dance just to fill up their quotas with the Guild. That's what the GOP and Democratic lawmakers are doing. And CNN and corporate media do these stories like, oh, we could do something about climate change, but here comes a war in Ukraine. It's all a show. And there are characters in a play.
What's your thought about the conspiracy theory that I like? I like this conspiracy. I still call it that because I don't have hard facts. So I'm going to just call it a conspiracy theory. But I think it makes sense, right? Like the reason why AOC didn't endorse Cori Bush against William Lancey Clay the second time, the reason why they abandoned Nina Turner is because they really don't want to have more numbers. So they will have more forced to vote like moments. And also less competition in terms of like, if Nina wins, people got donated to her campaign. Fuck that. I want to be the progressive campaign. I want to be the progressive candidate. But anyway, just a
no.
This is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, well, you're not far off because here's something that can weigh into your theory. Again, just want to add it in there, and maybe you could use it. So I'll offer you this thought. Remember, Nancy Pelosi is writing her fantastic book, and she's criticizing the Squad. But the Squad was never a squad. That was her name for them when they got into office. They're not a unified voting bloc. The progressive members in Congress are not unified. Yes, there's the Congressional Progressive Caucus, but let's talk about our 4 Squad members. Ayanna Presley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, AOC. They're not buddies working together. They're each in their own little camp doing their own thing. And just because all 4 of them got elected under the Justice Democrats brand doesn't mean that they're a unified front. And in many ways, if you put in more Squad members, more is going to be expected from them because then they got to start doing things. Then they got to start pushing back. And the thing is, when you have some newcomers come in and they realize, oh, wait a minute, there's no organization here. Oh, no, I'm alone here. Oh, no, what do I tell the people? Because that's the one thing that could maybe make the Squad afraid is that there will be that, again, I'm going to mention a unicorn here. There might be that one progressive who gets in the Democratic Party who really is a rabble-rouser, who really is a fighter, who will follow through, and then, this little unicorn, whoever they are, this fictional person will say something, be like, hey, guys, look, I'm going to be real with you. They're going to do an Instagram live stream or some YouTube live stream. Like, hey, look, guys, I'm going to be real with you. I'm by myself here. It is all a scam. The Democrats aren't going to – but then again, we have to find someone who's going to be who has a backbone and will
you guys want to know
the Democratic Party and actually do that. You know,
you guys want to know the funny thing is it was Cori Bush that accidentally told on them. She's the one that accidentally told on them because she's the one that spilled the beans because she said that Ayanna Presley told her that they all vote alone. So once again, I only got theories based on the anecdotes I hear. So Cori Bush is the person we got that quote from when she was asked, why don't you vote as a bloc? She was like, oh, well, as Ayanna Presley told me, we all just represent our district. We all vote alone. That's where you guys know that's where it came from. So what does that tell you? That means there's someone who with seniority, Ayanna Presley, who was assigned leader of this new progressive movement. So she goes around telling new squad members like Cori Bush, don't you think about joining up together. We all vote alone to focus on your district. Don't do that coalition shit. That works. We don't want to do that. Now, once again, that's just a theory because I'm reading outside the lines of that story. And I'm asking you guys, why would Ayanna Pressley tell her that? Cori Bush, that's what she said. She fucks up every once in a while because she gives interviews and she said the quiet part out loud. And I want to be that.
They're like, God damn it, Cori, shut up!
So
Cori, we gave you one assignment. Shut the F up. I'll get Nancy. Do you want me to bring in Nancy? And here comes Nancy, all like the Crypt Keeper. I told you to be quiet or I'll eat your soul.
I don't know. Like, man, Nancy Pelosi got them in line real quick. I have my friend here. I want to get Zoya in here. With my good friend Zoya.
By the way, D. Schultz is saying I look like I'm in the subway electric room. No, I'm not. I'm actually in the stage set for Chicago Corner. See, there we go. That's our little stage set for Chicago Corner. That's the rest of our studio. So, no, my friend, I am not in an electric room. Behind me is the radio room. So there we go. I had to correct the record. There was a lie being said. No subway electric room here.
I set up a call-in posting show, but I shouldn't have done that like an hour after the show because now like we still got a little time, still got a lot of things to cover. You guys know my friend Zoya's Love, Zoya's Life. I'm glad he was able to join us today, Zoya. I know we're supposed to be on the call-in right now, but we're going a little long today.
And that's okay. We'll have more time to promote the call-in. But I wanted to add on to what you guys were saying, and I don't think it's getting enough attention that when Jordan Sheraton from Status Quo interviewed Nina after her loss, and he asked her, what do you think about the squad not endorsing you, not supporting you? She said they were threatened. And Feeney told us about Cori Bush, that also Cori Bush, why didn't she take some further actions on things that she was also threatened? I think we need to. But I think having been inside the system and dealt with some of these people, that they really do legitimately threaten people. I'm not giving them an excuse. They were elected to fight, and they should be exposing this. They should be on TV saying right now, these people are threatening me for doing this. That's how I envision them being on the inside fighting. But the establishment does threaten these people. I think that's a real thing that we need to.
I think they threaten them. I think they threaten their career. And then at that point, you can make the decision of whether you're going to accept the threat or not. I think they just saying this shit now, to be honest. Like after the last time we were threatened not to coordinate our vote to stop the iron. Fuck, I don't believe. Maybe I'm an asshole. Maybe you guys don't agree. I don't buy it no more. I really fucking don't. I think they're not. Remember, Nina Turner immediately was like, "Oh no, don't worry. They were just threatened." I don't buy it no more. Like they love you. At best, they was like, "We're gonna threaten you a committee assignment. We're gonna pull funds." And if you fall for that threat, if you like, all right, you threaten me. You threaten my committee position, so I'm gonna go for the threat. That's still you selling out. That doesn't sell out. That doesn't change the fact that you sold out just because you fall for the threat. Shit.
It's weak. It's weak in my mind because here's the thing: we saw how AOC, who famously was saying the way Tulsi voted president, I'll never do that. I'll never do it. And then what do we see? Nancy, old hag bag Nancy, yelling at AOC. Wagging her finger, and what does AOC do? She cries!
Jesus
and
Christ.
changes her no vote to a president. So when I hear, we were threatened, well then either boot up and suit up and stand up and fight or get the hell out of our way. Because if you're going to let them steamroll you and walk you over, why are you in office in the first place? We did not waste our time in 2018 and all these other previous election cycles hoping for change, and then all of a sudden you fold faster than I don't know.
They threaten us.
I'm so angry with the whole fact that they just get threatened. They just fold so easily, and I have to say, when you do something like this, when you capitulate to the Democratic Party, you're showing absolute weakness, and you're not installing confidence. And what we need are fighters. But here we have the Congressional Progressive Caucus, the squad, all saying, We were threatened. You have millions of supporters. Stamp your fucking feet and tell us who's causing you a problem, and we'll step up. Tell us who's causing an issue, and you get your foot soldiers ready to go. Tell us who's causing you a problem, and the people will fight. Bernie Sanders, blink twice if you're being held hostage. I mean, come on.
Yes,
bro, we threaten all the time. Sorry, Zoe, go ahead.
No,
But
I
we
was
threaten all
just
the
going to
time.
say I agree with both of you wholeheartedly. I just think it's a conversation that needs to be had. That first of all, they don't get to use it as an excuse at all because they were elected to fight. But I want to see them exposing these people. Don't just make these vague statements like we were threatened. You know, we are here. Everything Kit is saying is so on point. We are here. We can hold these people accountable. But you got to tell us who's threatening you and with what. Otherwise, you know, that can't be trusted. They can't hold water. And you are just bending the knee and selling all of us out. So I wholeheartedly agree with this, but I think the establishment really does threaten. And I think that I think they're betraying us by not elaborating on what is being held over their heads, how they're being threatened. I think it's more their careers. I'll just tell you guys about my experience. I've met with governors and senators, and they have told me I've gone high with city councilmen that told me, like, I fully support Republican ones to boot, and they're like, I fully support legalizing weed, but let me tell you, I can't do it because if I do it, they're going to destroy my life, remove me from office, and replace me with someone that's going to toe the line for the establishment. And we had recently, when we lost the fight for healthcare in California, the Progressive Caucus leader came out and did a crazy video, just like dropping the bomb on all of them and talking about how, you know, they're selling everybody out. But it is extremely corrupt, and these people are very powerful. They don't just ask nicely. And if the squad or whoever is in politics still wants our support, I think they have an obligation to expose all of this.
Exactly.
Look, here's the thing. Okay, so these politicians, right, that want to play this game of threatening people, you know, you only could do this for so long until there's a breaking point with the regular citizen. Sooner or later, people will push back. And yeah, you can do the security state. Yeah, you can keep on doing your drones and everything. But I'm going to quote Mark Antony here from HBO's Rome when he was talking to the Pompeian senators, right? All those who were allied with Pompey. Rivers dry up and snows do melt. So sooner or later, none of that, all these threats, I mean, after a while, you could threaten people so much to where eventually there will be a point of, well, that's all you have. You're going to threaten me with death and imprisonment. I have nothing left to lose. I mean, when people are on the streets and they have nothing, when people are in debt and they have nothing left to lose, you're going to be surrounded by a bunch of individuals that will step up into a line, which a lot of these politicians, especially these old senile senior citizen politicians, aren't really prepared for, because they're part of a generation that's not the boomers. They're from the silent generation, a time in America's history that's never coming back. These people are completely out of touch. We got to push back. And I'm tired of hearing the excuse of, oh, they'll threaten me. They'll threaten me. Well, then fight back.
Yeah, we are threatened every time we take an action. We see the effects of tear gas. Tear gas can cause miscarriages. It can cause long-term damages with anyone with respiratory issues. You know, the vulnerable among us that the COVID code used to push their authoritarianism. Oh, we got to worry about the most vulnerable among us, but they don't care about them when they fire tear gas into the crowd. What do you think that happens to people who have respiratory issues? Tear gas. Why do you guys think it's banned? This is what they do to us, right? So that's the threat that we have every time we engage in the action. So I don't want to hear it when you make $170,000 a year plus all the massive benefits you get. Free healthcare. You got security detail. You talking about I'm threatened. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. The people who protested in Ferguson died. There's a whole story. We report on this countless times, the cases of all the Ferguson protesters who died mysteriously. People who had two gunshots in the back of their head. All the quote unquote suicides. So That's almost insulting to even say that shit without even like what Zoya said. Without if you don't say names at that point, it's just an excuse. If you don't use that as a rallying cry, if you use that as a form of defeatism, that's shady as hell as far as I'm concerned. Now we literally an hour and 40 minutes in. I didn't even share the fun part of the segment yet.
Oh, all
Hit
right.
me a few times, but now we actually gonna get into it. And now I wanted to cover this part first, right? Because this is going to the facts. I'm gonna read just a little bit more of it, and then we get to the main event. Because I think there's an important part that we didn't get to that needs to be said. Now I'm going to reintroduce it because we went on a tangent. The U.S. pledged billions to fight climate change. Then came the Ukraine war. This came out today, right? This is on NPR of all places too. So the United States owed billions of dollars in climate funding to developing countries. But this is the interesting part because now the reason why I talk about this issue a lot because I view this as a class war. This is a war between the workers and the 1%. The global population who will be victimized by the U.S. and everyone else. The U.S. owes the rest a climate debt that needs to be paid. And I don't know if she means this the way I mean it. When he said the U.S. owes the rest of the world a climate debt. Because as it's shown right here, there's another one. The U.S. has been by far the largest polluter in modern times. Imagine if you are in the sub-Saharan Africa, in the Middle East, in developing countries, and now your place of living becoming inhabitable because big developing countries have looted the rest of the world, right? So as I said, the U.S. owes the rest of climate debt because our continent is on the front line. We have the highest amount. I'm trying to see if I can find. Here it is. If the U.S. follows through, it's still possible to keep global temperatures from rising. See, now this is a little bit too much hopium for me because the U.S. is not going to follow through. This is the plan that Biden he lied about. This is what I was looking for. So Biden pledged to cut emissions, right? And then they just completely ignored that because of the Ukraine war. This is go back to AOC and Bernie because this is supposed to be their number one issue. So they are completely letting the United States off the hook. Not only are they letting them off the hook, Biden completely ignored this campaign promise. They are now voting with Ukraine. So now let's get to the main event. Because all this leads to something that should never ever happen. Like if this ever happened to me, I tweeted about this. If this ever happened to me, I will retire. Like I will resign from RBN if Marjorie Taylor Greene ever outflanked me to my left on any issue. Like if Marjorie Taylor Greene ever properly dunks on me, like that's a wrap, son. Like I'm about to go back to selling cars. Like I'm done. Like I failed as a leftist communicator. So this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said, and we all know she's full of shit. We all know she don't really care about the working class people. I'm gonna show you guys who the Republicans are here very soon because the same people who are repeating this, they already voted for relief aid for people. So anyway, we're not gonna get to that now. Let's just appreciate the pure science, the pure energy of this duck. AOC, what is the carbon footprint of the proxy war with Russia you voted to fund? God damn. How do you let this happen? Imagine it being such a fraud that you have a blind spot that Marjorie Taylor Greene can take advantage of. Because as I mentioned earlier in the stream, you got people who endorse the Green New Deal who are imperialists. And this hypocrisy actually turns people off. When they see you being full of shit, when you see you push hardcore mandates and people catch you outside without mask mandates, like these hypocrisy is not good for the movement. Like you got to be consistent. So you being imperialist and voting for weapons in the middle of a climate crisis that is getting worse, why are you not calling out Joe Biden for increasing fracking? You guys are doing nothing but making the crisis worse. And you guys allowed Marjorie Taylor Greene to land his body blow. You allowed Rand Paul to be the hero that is advocating for the working class. Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, we got to fight for a baby formula.
I wouldn't. Here's the thing. Like, if that was, See, I'd be embarrassed to show my face. I'd be humiliated if somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene was able to outmaneuver me or anyone else, like in regards to independent media. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene, again, she's got a horrible track record and this disposable, very kind of disgusting person in my perspective. But at the end of the day, I gotta tip my hat to her. You called out AOC. You gave her a 1-2 punch that will be very difficult really to recover from, because she's calling you out on your own hypocrisy. AOC ran as anti-war. AOC ran as someone who addressed the threat of climate change. AOC campaigned as someone who wanted to stand up to the military-industrial complex. The fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene was able to exploit this one weakness with this $40 billion vote really says a lot. That AOC, she's not really thinking about what she promised. AOC is only thinking about when's the next time she could go to a gala event, or when's the next time she can be on the cover of Vanity Fair. She's not there on the ground. If you really think about it, if the GOP really wanted to punch at the Democratic Party, if the GOP really wanted to win, they could call out the Democrats on all their false promises. Exactly. They could call them out on all their issues, all the things they failed to deliver on. And here's the thing, look, this will never happen. And if it does, I'll be shocked and be like, okay, I didn't think he'd follow through. But let's say if Trump gets reelected, right? And in his first 100 days, he actually decides to pardon student debt, Medicare for all happen, legalize cannabis. Let's say he did those three things. He takes away three major things that liberals, progressive Democrats have been running on for decades. He takes that away from them. If the GOP was really smart, but see, here's the thing. The Republican Party will never do that, because they, just like the Democratic Party, are in on this game of, we got to say these things. We don't believe them, so we're going to do this song and dance. But if any real political party wanted to bring in change and actually be the game changer, they'd follow through with their promises. But they can't, because their donors, their number one constituents, are telling them don't do it. And plus, it's another way they could do more fundraising, because every single Democratic lawmaker wants to do a fundraise. In Chicago last week, Biden was here with Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Illinois Democratic Party hosting it. At the bare minimum, do you guys want to take a wild guess what it costs to get a plate at that wonderful fancy fundraising event that was held here in Chicago? Anyone want to take a ballpark number? Zoe, why don't you guess the number? We'll start with you.
No idea.
No, just
$100?
$100 or $100K?
Okay.
Nick,
repeat the question.
How much do you think that at the lowest plate cost? How much do you think it costs to get into that fundraising event?
Oh shit. Yeah, $100K is actually a pretty good guess. I'll say 125. I'll go a little higher.
This is like that game show.
Price is right. Ding, ding, ding. Nick, you're the closest one. $335K.
Hey, Carlos, you have a thought? What's the thought?
$335K.
What a great time to bring me in. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, so we were supposed to have a call-in show. This show actually going a little bit long. I appreciate you clicking in with us, Kit. No, we're just going a little bit long today because I still want to finish this segment at least. I'm gonna get Carlos in here at least. We're about to.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Carlos.
That was $300,000. That is ridiculous. If that doesn't show what this party is about, I don't know what does. I just had one interesting question, because based on all the stuff that Kit was bringing up, is the relationship between civility, normalcy, and criminality. I think that we're getting close to a moment now where people are going to have to re-examine their relationship to what they consider, or whether or not they consider revolutionary praxis to be outside the state's law, because we're going to have to differentiate. Just like Christianity has its own set of laws that the church doesn't follow, I think that revolutionary praxis is going to call into question the moment where civility needs to be called into question as one of the foundations for civilization itself, because it seems like we're getting to that point where incivility is required now if we're going to make any desperate last minute changes.
And they know that. That's why they were melting down about people showing up at Supreme Court justices' homes. And we should be at Raytheon, all their executives, their homes. I think it should be way more widespread, but a lot of people are not ready for this conversation. So I want to share this. I want to share this part too. I want to finish this segment, and then we're eventually gonna move on to Callin. If you guys see it in the description, I have the link to our post Callin show. We are technically late for that, but
Okay.
I'll make sure you guys click on that because that's where we're gonna move the show. I don't like rushing my show. I like to do my segments. And then whenever the segment ends, that's when I wrap the show. So we got a little bit out left. I'm gonna cover on this segment. Also, we'll let get Carlos' thoughts on here as well. But I also want to show you guys. Let you guys know the conservatives aren't your friends. It's just Bernie and AOC are just particularly horrible because now they're using the baby formula talking point that every single working class advocate should be. You should be attacking Biden and the Democrats for their failure on inflation and how they handle rather get the money to Ukraine instead of working class people. But I love this because I just want to give you guys reaction to this because this is the message that coming from Republicans. They all talking about baby formula. I watched a Tucker Carlson segment last night. I told you guys this dude's fucking hilarious because he is such a propagandist. He started talking about baby formula shortages, and then he started kind of blaming it on trans people. And then he starts saying, "Oh, this is because of the woke mob." I'm like, this motherfucker, bro. But anyway, the point is they all doing it. But I want you guys to know they're not who they say they are. So this is what they say. He said, imagine they do Matthew Crawthorne. He was like, imagine we spend that $40 billion on veterans. But the reality, this other person, I don't know who any of these people are. This guy responded to him. He said a couple of weeks ago, you voted against a bill expanding health care for veterans as opposed to burn pits. So you have all these Republicans that are saying stuff like, oh, man, we should be spending this on our people. Motherfucking Martin Taylor Greene voted against food assistance in the middle of COVID. You guys know that? So if only AOC could respond to her saying that, but AOC, who usually has clapbacks, she didn't say anything about this. AOC haven't tweeted since May 3rd. So you would think that if you send billions of money to Ukraine, you don't go AWOL. You don't disappear. So it's almost like she has a guilty conscience, right? How do you concede this moral high ground to these people? I just want to add that context. I want you guys to know, even though we laughing, I think that was a great dunk by Marjorie Taylor Greene. We always got to ask, especially at the left network, these people are not on our side either. But it's how bad AOC and Bernie are that they will even allow this opening. But let's get Carlos in here, and then we get Kit and Zoya, and we will wrap up.
I just want to say that this speaks to both Kit's and Zoya's previous comments, especially Zoya, because Cawthorn's been under a lot of pressure, and there's been stories even in mainstream media, Washington Post, that the Republican Party is going after him right now for all the stuff he's doing and all the stuff he's outed about orgies and cocaine parties and all this other stuff. So it's interesting that it's politicians that find themselves in desperate situations that are under attack by their own parties that seem to be the fringe voices right now, speaking against things like war or speaking against things like sending more money to Ukraine. So I find it interesting that he would tweet this at this specific moment in his political career.
Wait, so that's the same guy? Oh, sorry, I had to get my teeth.
Yeah, that's the same guy.
That's the same guy with the orgies? I told you I didn't know
yes,
who that
this is the same guy with the orgies who's currently under attack by the GOP. They want to get him out of office because he's outing the fact that he's been invited to these GOP parties that are full of orgies and drugs and prostitutes and all this other stuff. And so the GOP has had a couple of like backroom meetings with him. It's like, look, dude, you're really good looking in front of camera, and we appreciate the fact that you are in many ways a disabled politician. But at the end of the day, you can't say this stuff. And so he's kept saying it. And now he's in a situation where his own party wants him out. And it's just interesting to me that he's tweeting these things he hasn't tweeted in the past about, wouldn't it be interesting to spend this money on veterans, otherwise on a domestic social net for veterans that we don't have in this country and that we've been chopping at for the last 2 decades in terms of benefits for veterans' rights and so in healthcare. So it's interesting. The timing of this, I just think, is interesting to speak to Zoya's comment. Is that what he said? Is Cawthorn came on and said, if I can survive this, I'm going to come back more powerfully the way that Trump survived the attacks on him and ended up dominating the party.
Bro, I want him to squill on everybody, bro. You better drop names. They trying to, because his Republican opposition trying to destroy him with it. Like, bro, you might as well just go out. They probably would kill him or something, bro. But like, bro, you need to start saying names, man. Go take the whole ship down with you, man. If you're gonna go down, let the whole ship go down. That's funny. But Kid, anything else you want to add to regarding the whole AOC burning Ukraine? Like, I'll let you put a cherry on top, and then we'll probably wrap up here very soon. Any final thoughts on the topic?
Yeah. Here's my final thought. Don't wait for these politicians to save you. You are the person that we've been waiting on. You are the person that must step up. Don't be that person who says they wish they could help in the sidelines. Look at the work that Nick and his colleagues at Revolutionary Blackout Network have done. Look at the fact they held a 3-day General Strike Summit meeting with so many organizers, activists, union groups, people who do worker co-ops, individuals who are really well aware of what's happening. This is a difficult task to do, and we need more citizen journalists out there. We need more people to step up. It shouldn't just always just be, I don't know, 5 or 10 other channels. I mean, look, I could sit here and name all the other independent media networks, but it's going to require more people to step up. We want a better future. It shouldn't. It's going to have to be you yourself that's going to have to step up and fight back and make your voice heard, because they're doing everything they can to silence us, suppress us. The political system is failing us. Now, the only thing I'll say in regards to voting, if you do live in a ballot initiative state, vote for good ballot initiatives and stop the bad ballot initiatives. Kira, she covers them every Sunday. Check that out. Harlan's Media has been talking about it. But otherwise than that, I'm not going to tell anyone how to think or how to vote. But the point is, if there's one thing you can do, and that is find your voice, step up, and push back. It's not going to be easy. But look at how these politicians have disappointed us all this time. AOC, Bernie Sanders failing, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Rand Paul out-lefting them. It's all a game. It's a game that we are puppets who are part of this ridiculous show. We cut our strings and we break away from it. That's what we have to do.
Well said, Kid. Always fun having you on. We're going to get ready to transition to our call-in show here soon. Make sure you guys look at the description. We're doing a post call-in show after this, and the topic is going to be the same. We're going to talk about, and I want to hear from you guys. Like, I had a blast. Like, the community that we have on call-in, it's great. So I would love to hear from you guys, and then we're going to hear a lot more from Zoya and Carlos as well. But make sure you guys subscribe to Harlan's Media as well. I watch them all the time, and they do a lot of great work. So make sure you support them and support independent media. But with that said, this is Social Civ May. Make sure you guys click that link. Click that link. The show will continue. It'll be live only on call, and we're gonna have a post discussion. I'm gonna shut the fuck up, and we'll hear from the communities. Hear what you guys think, like regarding the latest Ukraine conflict. So once again, thanks for joining us again, Kit. I think Zoya and Carlos gonna join us on the next stream. So I'll see you guys around.